rules for happiness. Something to do, someone to love, something to hope for. If you punish a child for being naughty, and reward him for being good, he will do right merely for the sake of the reward. And when he goes out into the world and finds that goodness is not always rewarded, nor wickedness always punished, he will grow into a man who only thinks about how he may get on in the world, and does right or wrong according as he finds advantage to himself. We are not rich by what we possess but by what we can do without. You only know me as you see me, not as I actually am. 3 things tell a man: his eyes, his friends, and his favorite quotes. Patience is the strength of the weak. Impatience is the weakness of the strong. But a lie is a lie, and in itself intrinsically evil, whether it be told with good or bad intents. Do the right thing because it is right. Always recognize that human individuals are ends, and do not use them as means to your end. Science is organized knowledge. Wisdom is organized life. Most men use their knowledge only under guidance from others because they lack the courage to think independently using their own reasoning abilities. It takes intellectual daring to discover the truth. Enlightenment is man's leaving his self-caused immaturity. Immaturity is the incapacity to use one's intelligence without the guidance of another. Such immaturity is self-caused if it is not caused by lack of intelligence, but by lack of determination and courage to use one's intelligence without being guided by another. Sapere ad, have the courage to use your own intelligence, is therefore the motto of the Enlightenment. The only thing permanent is change. We can judge the heart of a man by his treatment of animals. Give a man everything he wants and at that moment everything is not everything. 2 things fill the mind with ever new and increasing admiration and awe. The oftener and more steadily we reflect on them: the starry heavens above me and the moral law within me. If justice perishes, human life on earth has lost its meaning. Experience without theory is blind, but theory without experience is mere intellectual play. Great minds think for themselves. If man makes himself a worm, he must not complain when he is trodden on. There are 2 things that don't have to mean anything. One is music and the other is laughter. All perception is colored by emotion. All our knowledge begins with the senses, proceeds then to the understanding, and ends with reason. There is nothing higher than reason. Democracy is necessarily despotism, as it establishes an executive power contrary to the general will, all being able to decide against one whose opinion may differ. The will of all is therefore not that of all, which is contradictory and opposite to liberty. Feminine traits are called weaknesses. People joke about them. Fools ridicule them. But reasonable persons see very well that those traits are just the tools for the management of men, and for the use of men for female designs. A single line in the Bible has consoled me more than all the books I ever read besides. I shall never forget my mother, for it was she who planted and nurtured the first seeds of good within me. She opened my heart to the lasting impressions of nature. She awakened my understanding and extended my horizon, and her precepts exerted an everlasting influence upon the course of my life. Morality is not properly the doctrine of how we may make ourselves happy, but how we may make ourselves worthy of happiness. Look closely. The beautiful may be small. The greatest human quest is to know what one must do in order to become a human being. There can be no doubt that all our knowledge begins with experience. It is never too late to become reasonable and wise. For peace to reign on earth, humans must evolve into new beings who have learned to see the whole first. Live your life as though your every act were to become a universal law. The wise man can change his mind, the stubborn one, never. Man must be disciplined, for he is by nature raw and wild. Honesty is better than any policy. In law, a man is guilty when he violates the rights of others. In ethics, he is guilty if he only thinks of doing so. Dare to know. Have the courage to use your own intelligence. Laziness and cowardice explain why so many men remain under a lifelong tutelage and why it is so easy for some men to set themselves up as the guardians of all the rest. If I have a book which understands for me, a pastor who has a conscience for me, a doctor who decides my diet, I need not trouble myself. If I am willing to pay, I need not think. Others will do it for me. The hand is the visible part of the brain. Space and time are the framework within which the mind is constrained to construct its experience of reality. I had therefore to remove knowledge, in order to make room for belief. Man's duty is to improve himself, to cultivate his mind, and, when he finds himself going astray, to bring the moral law to bear upon himself. Thoughts without content are empty. Intuitions without concepts are blind. The human heart refuses to believe in a universe without a purpose. Thinking in pictures precedes thinking in words. Immaturity is the incapacity to use one's intelligence without the guidance of another. Always regard every man as an end in himself, and never use him merely as a means to your ends. One is not rich by what one owns, but more by what one is able to do with dignity. Immaturity is the incapacity to use one's intelligence without the guidance of another. Two things awe me most: the starry sky above me and the moral law within me. Every man is to be respected as an absolute end in himself, and it is a crime against the dignity that belongs to him as a human being, to use him as a mere means for some external purpose.